The Confessions of Saint Augustine, Book 8, Chapter 7, following. And I had thought that I, therefore, deferred from day to day to reject the hopes of this world and follow you only, because there did not appear aught certain whither to direct my course, and now was the day come wherein I was to be laid bare to myself, and my conscience was to upbraid me. Where are you now, my tongue? You said that for an uncertain truth you like not to cast off the baggage of vanity. Now it is certain, and yet that burden still oppresses you, while they know they who neither have so worn themselves out with seeking it, not for often years and more, have been thinking thereon, have had their shoulders lightened and received wings to fly away. Thus was I gnawed within and exceedingly confounded with a horrible shame, while Pontianus was so speaking. And he, having brought to a close his tale and the business he came for, went his way, and I into myself. What said I not against myself? With what scourges of condemnation lashed I not my soul, that it might follow me, striving to go after you? Yet it drew back, refused, but excused not itself. All arguments were spent and confuted. There remained a mute shrinking, and she feared, as she would death, to be restrained from the flux of that custom whereby she was wasting to death. Chapter 8. Then in this great contention of my inward dwelling, which I had strongly raised against my soul in the chamber of my heart, troubled in mind and countenance, I turned upon Alypius. What ails us? I exclaim. What is it? What hurt you? The unlearned start up and take heaven by force, and we, with our learning and without heart, too, where we wallow in flesh and blood? Are we ashamed to follow because others are gone before, and not ashamed not even to follow? Some such words I uttered, and my fever of mind tore me away from him, while he, gazing on me in astonishment, kept silence. For it was not my wonted tone, and my forehead, cheeks, eyes, color, tone of voice spoke my mind more than the words I uttered. A little garden there was to our lodging, which we had the use of, and as of the whole house, and the master of the house, our host, was not living there. Thither had the tumult of my breast hurried me, where no man might hinder the hot contention wherein I had engaged with myself, until it should end, as you knew, I knew not. Only I was healthfully distracted and dying to live, knowing what evil thing I was, and not knowing what good thing I was shortly to become. I retired then into the garden, and Alypius on my steps, for his presence did not lessen my privacy, or how could he forsake me so disturbed? We sat down and far removed as might be from the house. I was troubled in spirit, most vehemently indignant, that I entered not into your will and covenant, O my God, which all my bones cried out unto me to enter, and praised it to the skies. And therein we enter not by ships, or chariots, or feet, no, move not so far as I had come from the house to that place where we were sitting. For not to go only, but to go in thither, was nothing else but to will to go, but to will resolutely and thoroughly, not to turn and toss this way and that, a maimed and half-divided will, struggling with one part sinking as another rose. Lastly, in the very fever of my irresoluteness, I made with my body many such motion as men sometimes would but can't. If either they have not the limbs, or these be bound with bands, weakened with infirmity, or any other way hindered. Thus, if I tore my hair, beat my forehead, if locking my fingers I clasped my knee, I willed, I did it. But I might have willed and not done it. If the power of motion in my limbs had not obeyed, so many things then I did, when to will was not in itself to be able, and I did not was both I longed, and I did not what both I longed incomparably more to do, and which soon after, when I should will, I should be able to do. Because soon after, when I should will thoroughly. For in these things the ability was one with the will, and to will was to do. And yet was it not done, and more easily did my body obey the weakest willing of my soul, in moving its limbs at its nod, that the soul obeyed itself to accomplish in the will alone this its momentous will.